Hi. This is my attempt to relate all those haunted and paranormal encounters I personally experienced in the past 40 years. And I hope to illustrate as detailed and accurately as possible according to the actual event. These are absolutely genuine and I kept them until now, to share with everyone. I hope you are ready. Let's begin. Before we begin, please help to subscribe to the channel. It will not cost you anything, but your subscription would meant a lot to me. So please go ahead and click on the subscribe button now. And, please share it with your families, friends, and colleagues on all your social media platforms, so they can enjoy these stories too. Let's continue. In the last episode, I made a stop on my return trip from the USA at Hong Kong. These were what happened when I decided to walk to the airport. After all the shopping and eating in Hong Kong, it was time to check out from my hotel. By the time I reached my hotel it was already 4 p.m, so I brought along all the stuffs that I bought and leave it with the concierge when I check out. My flight was scheduled at 2 a.m. in the morning. Since I have already checked in my return flight, and I already have my boarding pass on hand, therefore I only need to get to the airport before 1 a.m. and I should be safe. I definitely have plenty of time before I need to get to the airport. By 7:30, I have done most of my shopping and eating, so I decided to head towards the airport slowly by walking. However, I didn't know the way since I was new in the country. And I knew from the taxi ride on my first day that I was close to the airport. I should have more than enough time to walk there, therefore I went to the concierge and asked for a map, and asked them for the direction. After understanding the direction, I picked up my stuffs and started my journey to the airport. There were still so many people on the streets. Furthermore, it was a Saturday night. Seemed Shah Joey was very busy at that time. My carry-on was bumping into people on the way, therefore I decided to take routes that are less populated. Then I found myself walking mostly in their local neighborhood. Not so much people, only some shop houses are still open. Taking small streets might be easy to migrate around but often easier to get lost in direction. Therefore I decided to walk along major roads where I can see road signs pointing towards the airport. Then I came to the location where I need to cross to the other side of the road. I remember that there was large compound with several basketball courts when I looked down, and a few teenagers just leaving after their game. The road was very wide. It was difficult to run across as the traffic was pretty fast. Moreover, the road barriers was very much higher than usual, making it almost impossible. Then finally, I came to the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, where there was an overhead bridge that reached to the other side of the road. Looking at my watch, it was around 10 at that time when I crossed that bridge. After getting down from the bridge, I realized my direction ahead was a huge funeral parlor building, although it was brightly lighted up but still kind of creepy. So, I made a right turn and tried to go around the building. The street was totally deserted. Then, I came to the next junction, and I made a left turn. As I walked past, the shop houses are actually selling coffins, not just one shop but several of them together in a row. Even across the street were coffin shops too. The surrounding lingers with a scent of casket and some sort of uncomfortable peace. After the coffin shops came the incense paper shops where they sell all the joss papers, incenses, candles and all sorts of paper crafts made into burnt offerings common in Chinese ancestral worships. The smell of joss paper and incense fills the air as I walk past. There was even someone burning joss paper at the side of the street. Then came the florist, all cluttered together, filling the air with different aroma from the different floral wreath. Automatically, what came into my mind was a typical Chinese traditional funeral. Unlike the Western funeral, Chinese traditional coffin looks more creepier than a Western casket. Death is one stop in everyone's life that nobody will miss. The Chinese say passed on whenever someone passes away, implying that particular person has moved on to their next life. Hence, many businesses evolved related to death and the afterlife. Right at the end of the street was another bigger funeral parlor. I have no choice but to make a right turn. Then again, it was another florist. Then another joss paper shop. Then another. Most of the shops that were still open was either funeral or bereavement related. Then at the end of the street, it was totally empty, deserted and blocked by the highway. I have no choice but turn back. So, I took out the map given by the hotel, I tried my best to navigate myself, but I was circling around Cook Street, Winslow Street, Lo Lung Hung Street and Baker Street. I felt I made a big roundabout. It must have been my third round before I realized I am lost. Then, through a short alley, I saw a bus went past, so I quickly went after that direction. After coming out from the alley, it was another familiar street, full of coffin shops. Then I noticed an old woman sitting outside one of the coffin shop. She was extremely pale in complexion, her hair was completely gray with a black traditional headband, and dressed in traditional southern Chinese costume. I walked over and asked her for the direction to Kai Tak Airport. She gradually raised her left hand and pointed me to a direction. However, she didn't say a single word throughout the whole time. When I wanted to turn back to thank her, she suddenly disappeared into thin air. All I can see was just an empty chair. Goosebumps crawls all over my body, my legs were heavy like a rock. I wanted to run but my legs just won't listen. My leg was like jelly. Just before I fell to the ground, I managed to gather all the energy I have and run for my life, and I almost peed on my pants. As I was running, shop lights was blacking out one by one after me, just like you see in a horror movie. I don't know how far I ran when I finally came to a stop, and then I saw some vehicle come towards my direction. When I saw the shop's houses were regular shops, I have a sudden relief and stood by the road to catch my breath. By that time, most of the stuffs that I bought were lost during the runaway. Then, I heard a familiar sound. It was the sound of an airplane. So, I quickly look up, and just at the corner of my eye, I saw a light. I was so happy to see the plane. It was already 12 minutes. By the time I arrived at the airport, it was already 15 minutes to 1 in the morning, and I was panting and sweaty. I didn't have much time to thought about what happened that night. I have to rush to the airport, left baggage to claim and recheck in my luggages, and board the plane. Everything was a close shaved and I got onto my flight safely in the end. From my experience, spirits also have good and bad personality. They may not have any bad intention when you met them. Sometimes they could be your guarding angel, pointing direction to help you. So just be respectful and calm if you happen to bump into one of them. If you have any experience you would like to share, please feel free to share in the comments area below. If you like the content of this video, please click on the like and subscribe buttons. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you will be informed immediately whenever I uploaded my next video. Let's continue. One of the business trip where I was sent to UK, I can still remember what happened until today. I remember it was a trip after I finished my visit to Boston, and I flown to UK, arriving at Heathrow Airport. After custom clearance, I came through the arrival hall where I was expecting to meet up my principal who supposedly promised to fetch me to my hotel. By the time my principal picked me up from the airport and drive down the M25 highway, it was already dark. All I knew was the journey is about slightly less than 30 minutes and we arrived somewhere in Woking. The hotel from the exterior looks decent, although it was a 3-star hotel. It offers bed and breakfast and the owner himself runs the hotel. I was very hungry and tired when I arrived, but to my surprise, my principal took off after telling me that he will see me on Monday morning 8 o'clock, leaving me with my luggage waiting to check in the hotel. The owner was a very friendly old man. Checking in was simple as handling the key to me. When I asked him if there's anywhere I can eat something, he offered to cook me some spaghetti while I bring my luggage in my room. The rooms were located on the 2nd floor. You have to carry your luggage up the flight of stairs. Then you will see a short corridor with wooden floor. The ceiling was pretty low. There were only 6 rooms altogether. I looked at my room key, and I confirmed that I was given the last corner room, right at the end of the corridor. The fully carpeted room were pretty big. It has 2 beds, 1 queen size and a single. The street lights shine straight through the windows. The furnitures were pretty old. There was only heater but there were no air conditioner in the room. You can actually hear your own footsteps walking as the wooden floor makes the squeaky sound. Without AC, the room is pretty stuffy and warm after a while. After I unpacked my luggage, I went down to the dining area for my dinner. Although it was just a simple plain spaghetti with meat sauce, it was delicious to any hungry man served with such warm comfort food. When the owner asked me how was everything so far, I told him that I felt a little bit too warm in the room, and if he have any way to make it cooler. After dinner, I went to my room. Despite showering myself couple of times, I am still sweating profoundly. Then I heard the door knocking. When I opened the door, it was the owner with a standing fan. I was so relieved, and I thanked the owner to be so thoughtful. My moment of joy came very short. After plugging into the wall, the fan is not spinning fast enough to produce any puff of air. On top, it was quite noisy. Therefore, I have no choice but put it aside, thinking I just have to bear with it. Unfortunately, it was so warm and stuffy, trying to sleep was difficult. I found myself tossing and turning the whole time. Finally, I have no choice but to open the window and left the curtains open to let the cool air in. As I struggled to get to rest, I heard some noise coming from the corridor. Ba 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 ba. It sounds like some drunk hotel guest just got back from drinking. I looked at my alarm clock next to my bed. It was just 3 a.m. in the morning. Then, like clockwork, every 5 minutes intervals, someone is walking in the corridor. I don't know why that person was in the corridor, but his hiccup is definitely affecting me. Then suddenly, the grandfather clock from downstairs struck 4. The hiccup noise suddenly went away, and I thought finally I could get some sleep. Then, just about when I am about to fall asleep, I heard this. Then, I heard someone trying to open my door, turning my doorknob. So I quickly rushed to the door to hold it, just in case that man actually managed to open my door. Then it stopped. So I leaned forward to peep into the peephole, trying to see who he was. But there was nobody. A sudden chill ran up my spine, and immediately goosebumps grew all over my body. Therefore, I quickly turned on all the lights and hid in my blanket. I kept telling myself that maybe it was the guest next to my room, and he might just have found his door just before I went to my door. Breakfast time was 7 in the morning. I was afraid to step out of the room too early, just in case I bumped into something again. When I get to the breakfast table, the owner had already set up ready for me. It was a great breakfast spread. However, it seems that I am the only one that is having breakfast. So I asked the hotel owner, "Don't all your guests take their breakfast in the morning? It seems that the portion here is only good for one." The owner replied, "Yes, everyone usually takes their breakfast. Their breakfast spread was one of the reasons why people choose to stay there. However, that day I was the only guest in the hotel." So I asked, "Has everyone checked out?" The owner explained that this area is slightly on the outskirts of central Woking, and the hotel has not had many amenities. Therefore, most people will choose hotels downtown unless they wish to stay closer to some of the industrial areas here for business purposes. Otherwise, this is almost like a dead town. When I listened till that moment, goosebumps grew all over my body again. I started asking myself, who were those people down the corridor? What were those noises I heard last night? Luckily for me, I have 2 colleagues flying in on that day to keep me company. During the entire week, 3 of us get ourselves drunk every night. Most of the time when you start to notice the details, then you might realize that you have encountered the paranormal. Sometimes it is after the incident then you will know. Not each encounters ended up spooky and chilling, sometimes it's heartwarming, like this experience I had in the Philippines. I shall share with everyone on the next episode, my Filipino roommate. If you like the content of this video, please click on the like and subscribe buttons. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you will be informed immediately whenever I uploaded my next video.